London, December 3, 1872. A self-taught banknote engraver named George Smith stands before the Society of Biblical Archaeology. His audience includes the Prime Minister of England and the Archbishop of Canterbury. He's holding a translation of a clay tablet pulled from the ruins of Nineveh. And somewhere in the middle of reading it aloud, he stops, runs around the room, starts taking off his clothes. What he had just read was a flood story, a chosen man, a boat, 3 birds sent out to find dry land, a mountain, a sacrifice, written down 1,000 years before Genesis. And that was just the first one. This channel covers the excavations, the tablets, and the geological evidence that complicate the official story from both directions. This video is 8 of them. Number 8. The Aridu Genesis, Nippur, 1893. A University of Pennsylvania expedition digs up a tablet designated CBS 10673. Nobody translates it for 19 years. Then in 1912, German Assyriologist Arno Pobel finally reads it. What he finds is the oldest written flood narrative on Earth. The hero is Ziusudra, a Sumerian king. The god Enki warns him, a 7-day storm, a boat, a sacrifice after the waters recede. The tablet dates to roughly 1600 BCE, but the story it records was already old when it was written. This isn't a text that borrowed from Genesis. Chronologically, it can't be. Ziusudra was telling this story when the Hebrew scribes were still centuries away from putting anything on parchment. Number 7. Gilgamesh Tablet XI, the one that broke the Victorian world. This is what George Smith was reading that December night. The tablet, catalogued K. 3375, now sits in room 55 of the British Museum. You can go see it. In the Gilgamesh version, the flood hero Utnapishtim sends out 3 birds to find dry land: a dove, a swallow, then a raven. Genesis sends out a raven, then a dove, 3 times. Both stories end with the boat landing on a mountain. Both end with a post-flood sacrifice. Both describe the deity savoring the smell. Scholars have counted 19 specific parallels between the 2 accounts and 16 differences. The debate those parallels ignited in 1872 has never fully closed. Did Genesis borrow from Gilgamesh, or did both draw from something older? The tablet doesn't answer that, but it does mean the story was circulating in written form long before the Bible. Number 6. The Ark Tablet. This one almost got lost entirely. Sometime after World War II, a man picked up a small cuneiform tablet somewhere in the Middle East. It passed to his son, who in 1985 brought it to the British Museum. Irving Finkel, the museum's deputy keeper of cuneiform collections, read the first few lines and recognized the Atrahasis flood tradition immediately. The owner wouldn't let him study it fully. Finkel had to wait 24 years. In 2009, he finally got access. What the 60 lines contained were precise construction instructions for the Ark: dimensions, materials, technique. The Ark in this tablet is round, a coracle, half a football pitch across, 6-meter walls, built from braided rope, wooden ribs, and bitumen. Finkel published his findings in 2014 in a book called The Ark Before Noah. The tablet dates to around 1750 BCE. Every rectangular ark you've ever seen on a children's Bible or a church wall is based on a tradition that postdates this one by centuries. Number 5. Manu and the Hindu Flood. The Satapatha Brahmana, composed somewhere between 1000 and 700 BCE, records this. A fish avatar of the god Vishnu appears to a virtuous man named Manu and warns him a flood is coming. Manu builds a boat. He loads it with animals and seeds. The flood comes. The boat lands on a mountain. Manu survives and repopulates the earth. His 3 sons are named Charma, Sharma, and Yapeti. Noah's 3 sons are Ham, Shem, and Japheth. The phonetic overlap is not subtle. The Britannica entry on Manu notes that he combines the characteristics of both Noah and Adam. This is a tradition from the Indian subcontinent, geographically isolated from Mesopotamia, carrying the same structural skeleton, the same 3-sun detail, and the same mountain landing. That's not borrowing, that's convergence. Number 4. Deucalion and the Greek Flood. Zeus sends a flood to punish humanity. Prometheus warns his son Deucalion. Deucalion builds a chest. 9 days of flooding. The chest lands on Mount Parnassus. A post-flood sacrifice follows. Deucalion and his wife Pyrrha repopulate the earth. This story is documented in Apollodorus's Bibliotheca and Ovid's Metamorphoses. Second Temple Jewish theologians and early Christian writers explicitly argued that Noah, Deucalion, and Utnapishtim were the same person, remembered differently by different peoples. The Greeks were not reading Genesis. They had no access to Mesopotamian tablets. They had their own version, with the same bones, told in their own language, placed on their own mountain. Number 3. Coxcox and the Aztec flood. Here the script has to be honest with you. The Aztec tradition of Coxcox and his wife Xochiquetzal, surviving a world-destroying flood in a vessel, landing on a mountain, with a dove appearing in the narrative, is real and documented in pre-contact pictorial records. But the primary written description comes from an 1891 source, and some scholars dispute how cleanly the pre-contact version can be separated from post-conquest influence. Present that honestly, because the honest version is the interesting one. Even contested, the broader Mesoamerican flood tradition is real. The pictorial records exist, the structural parallels exist. The debate over their independence is itself evidence that scholars take the Convergence seriously enough to argue about it. Number 2. Emperor Yu and the Chinese flood. For a long time, China's ancient records of a catastrophic flood, controlled by the hero Yu, founder of the Xia dynasty, were treated as origin myth. Then in 2016, geologist Qinglong Wu of Peking University and Nanjing Normal University published a paper in Science, volume 353. His team found geological evidence for a catastrophic earthquake-induced landslide dam on the Yellow River around 1920 BCE. When the dam broke, the resulting outburst flood was one of the largest freshwater floods of the entire Holocene. The paper places the start of the Xia dynasty at approximately 1900 BCE, matching the flood record. The paper has been contested by other researchers, but a peer-reviewed study in one of the world's most rigorous scientific journals now says China's ancient flood myth may have a real geological event behind it. That's a different conversation than the one happening in 2015. Number 1. The Black Sea Flood Hypothesis. In 1997, oceanographers William Ryan and Walter Pittman of Columbia University's Lamont Doherty Earth Observatory published sediment core evidence for something that happened around 5600 BCE. Mediterranean waters breached the Bosporus. The Black Sea, then a freshwater lake sitting well below sea level, filled catastrophically. Water levels rose by over 100 meters. Roughly 155,000 square kilometers of land flooded. Neolithic farming communities living on those shores were displaced, fast. Ryan and Pittman proposed this as a candidate for the historical event behind Near Eastern flood traditions. The hypothesis remains contested. Some researchers argue the inundation was gradual, not catastrophic, but the core finding, that a massive inundation of the Black Sea occurred around that date, is not disputed. The sediment cores are real. And Leonard Woolley's 1929 excavations at found something else real. A thick band of sterile water-laid silt, 8 to 11 feet deep, sandwiched between two distinct layers of human occupation. He initially called it evidence of the biblical flood, then pulled back from that specific claim. The deposit itself has never been explained away. 8 traditions, 4 continents, thousands of years apart. A chosen survivor, a vessel, a mountain, a post-flood sacrifice. Researcher James Perloff's survey of over 200 flood legends found that in 88%, a specific family was favored. In 70%, survival was by boat. In 57%, survivors ended up on a mountain. The convergence is real. The debate is what it means. Did these cultures independently remember the same event? Did a real catastrophe scatter survivors who carried the same story in different languages across different continents? Or is this simply what human minds do when they confront evidence that the world once drowned? The geological record says something happened. The open question is whether the story came before the science, or whether the science is finally catching up to the story.